when there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Ghosts? They don't really do any ghost busting here, so let's call them Talkbusters! Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the channel and thank you so much for taking your own time out to check out this review. And I'm just going to be right off the bat and say this is going to be a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire and you're really intrigued to check it out, get the hell out of here, come back when you've seen the movie and check out my thoughts. Or if you don't care, let's get into this. So firstly, this is directed this time round by Gil Kenan, who did co-produce and write the Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was the first sequel, well, official kind of sequel, since the original 2 Ghostbusters movie. A movie that I did enjoy and I did review here on the channel, and I felt like that movie was a perfect kind of blend of the new cast with a nice send-off for the original cast and kind of homage and nostalgia done sort of right. So going into Frozen Empire, I saw the trailer, I was intrigued because I was like, wow, they're going for like a Frozen theme, something a little bit different and something that we haven't really seen before in the Ghostbuster movies. And with the trailer, especially showing that shot of the beach being frozen and everyone running away, I was like, wow, this looks cool, something completely different, and I was definitely on board. But after the movie ended, I can safely say those scenes that got you invested into this movie happened in the last 15 minutes or so and wasn't really worth it. You might be wondering, well, Mike, do you have any positives for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? And the answer is yes, I do. I think the cinematography is done well. I like the shots of New York. It made the city feel a little bit bigger, and also this cool introduction into this plantation as the original Ghostbusters firehouse is struggling to keep all the ghosts it is kind of harnessed for the last 40 years. So I like that there is some kind of plan of expansion and a way to get new ghosts captured into there. There's more space, so ultimately the Ghostbusters can do their job of busting ghosts. So that introduction of that side plot was cool. I kind of like that. The action that we do get with the Ghostbusters actually in action is good. That's what you pay to see. That's what you want. We don't get enough of it, but the scenes that we get, I enjoyed. I can say, you know, I had a smile on my face. I liked seeing the Ghostbusters in action. I liked seeing these ghosts maybe taking over or causing chaos. But unfortunately, besides that, that's where the positives end. Because if I'm going to go into negatives, there is an absolute mountain. You might as well just say Mount Everest at this point of negatives, because I disliked this movie quite a lot. So I think the unfortunate thing here is the director in charge, Gil Kenan. And I say that because I appreciate he did Monster House back in the day. That is one of my favourite animation movies. I really enjoyed that. I remember growing up. I see it though in the cinema. I still have my cinema ticket from seeing Monster House. I really enjoyed that movie. But since then, he hasn't really done anything. A couple of movies and a couple of projects where he's been a writer, but that's kind of about it. So I think the lack of inexperience definitely wasn't the best idea to put him in the director's helm of the chair of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Along with that, what is very messy is the script. How we had a good blend of the nostalgia and new cast in the first movie, although we all wanted just to kind of mainly see a new cast. In here, they give us 12 or 13 main characters in a 2-hour-ish runtime, and it's just bloated. They try to give the characters some screen time, but it just doesn't work. They focus on way too many side plots. You've got the main plot of Goraka, who is our villain, who's in like the last 10 minutes ultimately when it actually gets revealed, which was a waste because it was a really cool villain. Then you've got a side plot of Phoebe, played by Mckenna Grace, who meets Emily Lind, who plays Melody. And this girl is about 16, she can't cross over, she's left behind like one match, and of course it's going to come into the end, and she kind of betrays Phoebe because she wants to have a life and she wants to see her family again. So of course she's kind of working with Karaka, but then at the end it's all forgiven pretty easily. And I'm just like, well, you completely betrayed her trust. Plus the trust to actually get built in the first place involves 2 games of chess and a visit to a house, into the actual firehouse. It was just weak. You had no emotional attachment to that at all. It was poorly written and executed. I just did not care. Also, you have the side plots of the original Ghostbusters, except from Dan Aykroyd, who probably served the most purpose out of the 3. In terms of the 3 main core Ghostbusters, at least he had some involvement here, so I didn't mind that. But Ernie Hudson, yes, don't get me wrong, it's really cool to see him. It's really cool to see Bill Murray, but Ernie Hudson is pretty much pointless. He does like nothing here. Bill Murray, although in real life, he's kind of held and acclaimed for being like, oh, this guy who goes like does everything and just shows up here and there. That's cool. He does that exactly literally in this movie. And in the title credits at the end, it's like special appearance by Bill Murray. I'm like, the guy is a main Ghostbuster. Why is he known as a special appearance? He is Venkman. He is the main Ghostbuster. Why is he getting relegated to a special appearance, which his cameo is terrible again? He does absolutely nothing except from kind of initiate the Fire Master, who's Kumail Nanjiani, and he is awful. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Kumail Nanjiani. I think he's done some great comedy roles, but the comedy here, I felt bad for the guy. And the Fire Master was awful. He harnessed his power so quickly, by the way. I was just like, this was just unbelievable. It was just unrealistic completely, and it took me way out the movie. The scenes with him in as well, I just wish he just wasn't in here. I really don't think he was needed, I'll be quite frank. Yeah, wasn't a fan of him whatsoever. Then you got Finn Wolfhard, who plays Trevor, who is one of the new main core Ghostbuster teens, and he's relegated to a slide pot of trying to catch a Slimer. And don't get me wrong, it's cool to see the Slimer, but that's literally his purpose. That's all he basically does here. And it's kind of just like, why is he here? And then we've got Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon, who again are kind of like the parent figures and parent, so to say, and the school teacher of the 2 kids. They're okay, but don't really add a lot here, because they at times get shadowed by the older cast who they're adamant to then have like Janine here and then the mayor, and they're just so fixated on having the original cast presented in so much of this movie, to the point where the new cast gets relegated, and it's kind of pointless in a way having them there, except from service the plot device of the brass into the proton pack to beat the villain at the end, which is in a 5-minute battle at maximum. So it's just ultimately feels redundant. And then this frozen empire, with the title suggests, and you think, wow, okay, New York's going to be frozen over, this is going to be severe, this is going to be like really great moments. When the villain shows up, literally about the last 15 minutes of this movie, starts freezing, of course, the entire New York, or at least like a block, right? Like a few streets in New York, that's your frozen empire. There's like one shot of like some humans in these frozen streets, and one woman's like drinking coffee, and it's just, that's it. There's no like moments where you see a lot of humans frozen, or like say a human is trying to like rescue or get to their kid in this kind of frozen state and everyone's frozen solid. No one's frozen solid. They're literally drinking coffee while this freezing of the entire city, which was meant to be the entire city, which a few streets, has happened, and it just doesn't affect them. It just freezes the ground, and that's it. I just felt, wow, how terrible have you wrote this movie? It's an absolute giant bag of mess. That's what Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is. If the whole aim of this movie was to have long conversations, this would be rated an easy 5 out of 5 stars. Oh, and the last thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if anyone noticed this, but the way that this movie ends, it is exactly like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where all the ghosts are free. And I was thinking, oh no, we don't need this again. So my overall score for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is a 2 out of 5. Have you seen this movie? Are you going to check it out? Leave any and all comments down below so we can continue discussion down there. If you've enjoyed this review, certainly give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by clicking the red button down below to see plenty more videos. Big thank you to all my awesome patrons who helped to really support the channel. If you haven't joined Patreon, definitely click the link down below in the description box. You can join from £2 per month. In the meantime, if you've missed this amount of content or even these videos you may not even know about, feel free to click them and delve into the channel. But until the next time, I'll see you guys. I'll be seeing you later.